Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video topic is going to be something a bit controversial. Tariffs. The tariffs that we have not only do not work, but they never will. And in this video I'm going to explain why. First and foremost, we need to explain what a tariff is. According to the dictionary definition, a tariff is a tax imposed by a government on imported goods, often used to restrict trade, protect domestic industries, or raise revenue. Essentially, it adds costs to imported products, making them more expensive and potentially less competitive than locally produced goods. Now, the reason that they won't work is because companies have absolutely zero incentive to actually follow the purpose of the tariffs. Now, the purpose is to force companies to move their manufacturing and source their products from here in America. The problem with that is that they will never, ever do it. And the reason they won't do it is because they're just going to pass that cost, that expense, on to the end consumer. Because there is no legislation at all that requires them to not do that. Now, for proof of these claims, we will look at three large companies that people use to buy their groceries. First and foremost, Walmart. In Walmart's Q1 2025 earnings report, net sales reached $108.7 billion, driven by growth in health and wellness and grocery, according to Hardware Retailing. Comparable store sales increased 4.5%, with e-commerce contributing significantly. Now, the reason they will never work is because companies are not in any way legally required to not be able to pass that loss on to the customers. This is the exact reason that eggs have become a meme in internet culture. The price of eggs has soared so high that it is unreasonable. However, there is absolutely zero legislation that prevents companies from doing this. So because of the tariffs, the only people who are actually suffering are the end consumers. Now on to Target. Target is a little bit of a different story. Q1 2025 net sales for Target totaled $23.8 billion, compared with $24.5 billion in 2024. However, the reason for that is, of course, as we all know, Target has been closing a lot of their storefronts. But the point I'm making is that here is an excerpt from Target's website about this, their corporate website. Digital comparable sales grew 4.7%, reflecting more than a 35% growth in same-day delivery powered by Target Circle 360 TM, and continued growth in Drive Up. Now, what that actually means is that, yes, they have made less sales at in-person store locations. However, it's more than made up for by the fact that they have almost a 40% growth in their e-commerce. Lastly, we're going to look at Amazon. In Amazon's first quarter of 2025, net sales reached $155.7 billion, a 9% increase year over year, meaning that is a 9% increase from Q1 2024, and earnings per share were $1.59 per share, exceeding analyst expectations of $1.36 per share. Operating income also saw a significant increase, reaching $18.4 billion, a 20% year-over-year growth. Amazon Web Services net sales were $29.3 billion, representing a 17% year-over-year increase. Now, I can hear what people are saying. I can already hear you. Well, these companies aren't allowed to do this. I mean, we can sue them in class action lawsuits. Let me explain why that's not possible. Walmart recently settled a $45 million class action lawsuit and agreed to settle the claims that the company overcharged customers for certain groceries, included weighted goods like meat and poultry, and bagged citrus. The settlement covers shoppers who purchase groceries between October 19th, 2018 and January 19th, 2024, and may be eligible for payouts of up to $500. Now, for those who are not legally minded, settling is not losing in court. Settling means that they settled outside of court for an undisclosed amount of money. That does not mean they lost. Walmart has never once lost a lawsuit. They have always settled outside of court, and most major companies are the exact same. They prefer to settle outside of court because they know that losing a lawsuit is something that is very, very bad for business, let's say. Now, again, the only possible chance that the average person even has is taking it into class action. Now, the difference between a normal lawsuit and a class action lawsuit is that in a class action, it's multiple people suing the company together. It's a large group of people that have the same grievance that they believe is illegal. And so a class action lawsuit actually has a decent chance against these companies. Unfortunately, the weasels will do everything they possibly can to get out of these lawsuits, including settling outside of court. Now, settling outside of court might seem like a win, but it's not. $45 million is nothing for Walmart. Keep in mind, this is the company that earned $108.7 billion just in the first quarter of this year. 45 million is nothing to them. That's a win for the company. So, yeah, I mean, suing is simply not an option because either way it goes, you lose. Yes, again, 45 million is a lot of money for the average person. But if you read the very end of it, it specifically states $500 per person that was affected. So yes, that's $45 million, but it's split up between thousands and thousands of people. And about that $45 million number, let's keep in mind that the current CEO of Walmart, Doug McMillon, earned a total compensation of $27.4 million as his salary for this year. $27.4 million. So with that knowledge in hand, we can understand that $27.4 million as a salary, that's over half of what they paid out to the consumers that they did wrong. Again, this is a big win for the company. The consumers completely lose in this situation. And it's very unfortunate. It's very saddening to see that because these companies keep getting bigger and they keep getting bigger, and the bigger they get, the more power they have. And the more power they have, the more they can directly fuck us over. Plain and simple. That's just how it is. And unfortunately, we currently live in a society where our laws are not followed by the people that have a lot of money. They don't have to be followed. And it's sad. It really is. It chaps my ass, man. Now, again, this is a much more multifaceted topic. There's much more to do with it than this. However, the reason I can say with confidence that the tariffs will never work is because I've read the document. I've read the actual bill of Trump's tariffs. I've actually read it. It's a 196-page document. Not a single sentence in that document says anything about companies not being allowed to simply raise their prices to cover their profit loss. And if we don't put that in the legislation, they will never do it. At the end of the day, a company's main purpose is to make money. And they're never willingly going to take profit losses. If we continue implementing things like the tariffs that we have now, the only thing that will happen because of it is the end consumers will be fucked over. I can hear people talking. I can hear it. Well, why don't you just shop at somewhere other than Walmart? Well, let me give you an example. I live in Springfield, Ohio. In Springfield, Ohio, we have 3 Walmarts, we have 3 Krogers, and we have 1 Meijer. That's it. That's all we have. we don't have the option to not patronize these stores. Plain and simple. Like, you can't buy groceries from anywhere else. In most places in America, that is also the case. It's like, yeah, you could go to Whole Foods, but Whole Foods is also a multi-billion-dollar company. Whole Foods is also going to raise their prices to cover their asses. There is not a single massive company that exists that will willingly take losses. All of them are going to raise their prices the more the tariffs go up. And that's just how it is, unless we introduce legislation that disallows them from doing that. Now, another thing I wanted to cover. So during Trump's first presidency, he introduced a bunch of tariffs. Now, when Joe Biden took over, the only tariff that he undid that Trump put in place was the tariff on steel. Now, the tariffs on China, Joe Biden specifically raised the amount. So I don't understand why Trump is being attacked over the tariffs, considering that Joe Biden quite literally not only did the same thing, but doubled down on Trump's decision. So that's another part of the argument that I don't quite understand. I just don't really get it. You know, it's such a big deal right now with Trump, but again, Biden literally did the exact same thing. In fact, he doubled down on them. So again, it doesn't make much sense to me. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring this topic to light and show the research that I've done on it and give my opinion on it. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. It'll really, really help me out in the long run. Consider leaving a comment. If I got anything wrong, let me know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. And until next time.